some of the old craftsmanship is outstanding. It's wow. And what we're doing here is just, I can't even
It looks so much
say
better
how
than
beautiful
that.
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So we got a new railing. We wanted to upgrade our staircase here to make it a little bit more vintage looking instead of the kind of style that it was. It didn't really fit with our house. So we tend to go to a local salvage yard and get different pieces to incorporate into our home. We found a piece of railing that we loved, and so John installed it into the top of the staircase, and then we needed a piece of handrail to match. So I found a company that would customize a piece of handrail for us, and John picked it up and thought we had purchased the up easing, the over easing, the half turns and all those, but I had a little miscommunication and I didn't do that. I went to Family Day and we were walking through 3D Experience Lab, which is so cool. So we were going through there and John was showing me everything, and I was like, why can't we just like 3D print these parts that we need? Because they're super expensive. And he's like, I don't know, let me outsell.
You basically said, oh, what if we use my CNC machine and we make it out of wood?
Why would we print it if we could CNC it?
I'm like, well, yeah, even better.
Yeah, and I was excited about that because, you know, I had done some sculpting on the CNC with foam, but never wood before, and I really wanted to try that. So it was a perfect opportunity to, like, you know, scratch an itch. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just machine it out of pine. It's just, you know, nice soft wood. So we built that one prototype of the up easing. You green-lit it. We went all in.
Well, yeah, once we decided we were gonna either 3D print it or CNC it, we had to get exact measurements. So we needed the exact, you know, slope of the stairway, the rise, run, and the angle of the railing to know how much the, you know, easings needed to run out, and then you want the returns to be horizontal.
You can go to a generic stair parts website and buy all of these pieces. You don't get the chance to do that type of customization.
True. If your stairs are a strange slope, which most stairs are kind of similar slope, but we had it precise because we got exact measurement.
For me, as a maker of this part in the future, right, I would build the curved section we did and then give myself straightaways so that if blowout happens, it happens on the parts that I would come back and cut off anyway, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's just like a lesson for how to be a better maker in the future. Like, anticipate the grain of the wood potentially kicking
that's
out.
Hard.
Yeah.
Because you look at the glue ups and the way we had to orient, you know, the cuts and the pieces, like the grain is going every which way.
Yeah.
Did you just outline our profile and then scan it in to start?
Yeah, well, we started with the antique railing that we installed. You know, we sliced a little cookie off and we created a drawing from it. But yeah, and then you 3D printed like 5 or 6 different samples, like slightly larger and smaller.
Yeah, we would go back and forth. I would 3D print one, bring it to you, you'd test it, and you're like, oh, that's not quite right. And,
and then we found that the railing's 14 feet long, right? So that was one of the reasons you couldn't just find one at the antique place, is it changes size from the bottom end to the top. Yeah. Like, oh, it fits perfectly. And then you bring it up to the top, you're like, wait a minute, it doesn't fit up here.
We did that. You need the railing to die into the wall as a safety reason. There's code enforcement rules so that you don't catch a bag or catch your pocket or something when you're going up and down the stairs.
The vacuum cord when you're going down the stairs.
Sure, yeah, there's many reasons.
The easings are meant to tell you where the end of the stairs are. So if it's dark, or maybe if you're a blind person, you feel the over easing, like, oh, I know I'm at the top of, it's gonna become flat. It may not be the end of the staircase, but then when you hit the return, you know it's the end of the staircase.
Right.
All right, so holding these together required some special hardware that I had never used before, but you'd done some railings in the past, right?
Right.
So what are they all about?
So this company, Zippo, we found it when we were doing, like you said, other railings, putting in other newel posts. They have stuff to fasten newel posts to the ground too, which is super convenient. And they make it really, I mean, think about how else you'd have to do it. You'd kind of toenail screws in or something. Right. So this is interior hardware. You drill into the railing, you know, the center of it. So it's a threaded connection that way.
Yeah. Like a lag screw, kind of.
Yeah, just a lag screw. So you drill your hole perpendicular to the surface, and then this is obviously going to go into the next piece of railing. And if it's a straight section, there's straight ones, but this one has an option to go up in an angle. So we have the up easing, so it's kind of curving up, and I figured we could use this one. But you drill a hole here with extra
A clearance hole, yeah.
clearance hole up into the next section, and then you come in with a large hole that can fit this special nut, sort of like IKEA hardware. You know, you drop it into the hole and it cinches onto there, and then you tighten it from the bottom here. So it's all interior to the railing. It's cinching down towards this clearance hole, and then it'll eventually hit the wall. And it has a gearing, like you're saying, a gearing mechanism that pulls it onto the threaded section. So you cinch it nice and tight, and it pulls the railings together, all in turn. Then you plug this. As you're going up at an angle, you know, this nut is cinching down against the surface, right? So you're drilling a hole this way, and you want it to be the surface to be parallel. If it's kitty crooked, it's gonna cinch down and kind of want to make these two things shift. So it becomes a sanding game.
So to try and combat some of that and to help with the alignment, we did put these two little pinholes. What's the thinking there?
Yeah, so the idea was these little alignment pinholes, we did it on both surfaces, that we could, you know, put a little nail in there, clip the head off, and you'd leave a little bit sticking out, and it would help you align to the other piece, and, you know, push it together, and it...
So it's like attached from...
Yeah, it's like a little alignment post, and hopefully it would fight against the railing trying to turn as you're cinching it. If we need to shim something, to put a little tape on one side of it to make it, you know, hit that surface.
Were you guys anxious at all when you were drilling this hole that you were going to split this beautiful piece that you worked so hard to make?
We were more worried, as I recall, about drilling too deep and coming through the end.
Poplar's just a good, clear wood. It's very good for painting. It's known kind of good for painting because there's not many knots. It sands easily. It doesn't have much grain that comes up. So it's good for painting. It's the type of wood that's good for painting. Pine's another one, but pine has more knots unless you're buying the expensive clear select stuff.
But we painted because the railing that we purchased, that vintage, the antique railing, was pretty rough. And the idea, and it's pretty intricate. The design is really super pretty, and just to sand that down and finish it would have been a nightmare. But I like the look of the painted rail anyways. The house is kind of pretty white, so to be able to put a bit of colored woodwork in the house was exciting and fun.